There we go. Hi everyone. And well, it's Tuesday. Thank you very much for being understanding about the rearrangement last week. But it's great to be able to bring this to you. And we have the wonderful Sarah Parks here. And Sarah Parks is just absolutely fabulous and has so much knowledge that she's going to bring to you today and has an absolutely wonderful presentation to share with you. So Sarah, I will let you take over. Let me just give you screen sharing access as well. So we can do everything. And I am going to disappear. Well, not disappear. I'll go on mute and take my video off. Let me just pin you as well. There we go. It's all yours, Sarah.
Brilliant. Just presentation slideshow. There we go. Whatever. Perfect. Hopefully. Okay, so thank you, Louisa, for that introduction. So today I'm going to look at supporting entrepreneurs with ADHD, guide to access to work. So who am I? As Louisa says, I'm Sarah Park. I am also known as the Disability Diva. I um, I've I've had a physical disability since birth. I have spina bifida and hydrocephalus. So I've grown up and have lived experience of disability. And it wasn't until recently that I started to learn more about uh, kind of ADHD and how, as a woman, it can look at disability kind of differently. Uh, so that's where I did a lot of research. I'm on a waiting list, which I've just had recent news that it looks like it's getting closer. Um, and basically, that's where kind of my knowledge of access to work has come in because when I applied, yes, I applied with a physical disability, but actually, much of the support that I now get is through um as a result of a potential ADHD diagnosis. So again, that is the other point with regards to um kind of you don't necessarily need a diagnosis to be able to get the support because actually access to work looks more at what what your challenges are rather than you definitely having a diagnosis. So obviously, yes, I was already on a waiting list at that point, but that didn't necessarily mean that I was definitely going to um get the diagnosis. So in terms of what access to work is, it's a support for you whether you have a disability or health condition. Um, and it helps for you to either stay in work or get work. And that does include having your own business. So, as an entrepreneur, that does also mean that you're able to access access to work. Um, so it can help uh, to for you get a grant to help pay for practical support, um, as well as support with managing mental health, for example, uh, as well as money to pay for communication support at job interviews and things like that. Um, so that's a brief um, overview of what um, access to work is. In terms of eligibility, there's different criteria, but as I say, it doesn't necessarily have, you don't have to have had a diagnosis. It does look at whether you have a um, have the symptoms of the different kind of challenges. So the types of support that you can kind of apply for, you have to have a physical or mental health condition or disability that means you need support to do your job or get to and from work. You must be 16 or over, be in paid work, or be about to start or return to paid work in the next 12 weeks. And as I say, that does include you having your own business, so being self-employed, um, and you must live and work or be about to start or return to work in England, Scotland, or Wales. There is a different system in place for Northern Ireland. So that's just something to kind of be mindful of, depending on where you live. And that's the other point is that this access to work is purely for people with you in the UK. Um, so it could be for different reasons. If you've got a physical disability, it could be that you might have hard of hearing or you use wheelchair. Um, or as we're talking about here, with regards to ADHD, there's some kind of quite specific challenges that we will experience. So, just to quickly go back over the type of work, as I say, it does need to be a paid job, um, but it can be full or part time and can include employment, self employment, and apprenticeship, work, a work trial or work experience, and an internship, as well as a work placement. So there's lots of different ways you can be working, be able to get it. Um, and again, you can also get access to work however much you earn or have in savings at the same time as most benefits, as long as you work more than 1 hour a week. There are different rules for if you've got employment assault and support allowance. Uh, you can also, with parts of access to work, get support from a mental health perspective as well. So again, that's something to have a look at if that's something you need. So just going back into some of the kind of examples of the support you can get. Um, it specific to ADHD, a lot of these are. So flexible work schedule. You can request flexibility in work hours to accommodate peak productivity periods. And then that obviously mitigates any challenges related to attention and focus. Quiet workspace. So seek there's designated and quiet workspace to minimize distractions and create an environment conducive to concentration. So again, if you are working at home, that's also something to potentially think about, and they may be able to offer you um, actual equipment that allows for an distraction free environment. Uh, so again, it's using things like assistive technology, so access to funding for ADHD specific assistive technologies such as time management apps, task organizers, or focus enhancing tools. Uh, Workplace organization. So you may need assistance in organizing and optimizing the work environment. to reduce clutter and improve overall efficiency. Things like prioritizing your tasks and time management. Again, you may be able to get training paid for with regards to those areas. Uh, as I mentioned, there is mental health support services available that you can access. So you can have access to counselling or coaching services to address the emotional and psychological aspects of managing ADHD in an entrepreneurial setting. Um, Again, support around developing structured plans and setting realistic goals. Um, you can also get a support worker or personal assistant. So, and that's actually an element that I was able to get, uh, allowing obviously you as the entrepreneur to be able to focus on your core business activities. In other words, the business, the parts of the business that make you money, but that you also really enjoy. Networking and peer support. So again, access to work can help you access things like networking opportunities um, and support groups so that you get the opportunity to actually uh, network effectively. Uh, and if you are in the workplace or if you have other people that you are in your business, for example, uh, there can be some training on ADHD in the workplace. So, educational programs for colleagues and team members to so that they can increase their understanding of ADHD so that they can foster a more supportive work environment. It's my personal experience of access to work. Now, for me, and this is part of the reason why I'm now passionate about um, kind of providing some more information about the process with access to work. I found it a real challenge initially. Um, I didn't have someone supporting me to do it. So there was an expectation of lots of forms to be filled in. Um, and again, you there is a bit of pot luck in terms of who is supporting you through your application. And so some of the tips that I would have is even if it's not someone who's trained in access to work, have someone who knows you well, who can support you to make sure that you've got all the information that you need and that you can um, actually add to um, all of the information so that you can get the most out of your application. Um, so, like I say, the key challenge was lots and lots of forms. Also, not really knowing what I could ask for, so I not knowing what wording I could use and things like that. So the actual process of getting access to work initially was a real challenge, but I am so glad that I did it because from my application, I received support for a virtual assistant as well as funding to be able to get a Remarkable 2. Um, I also know that there other people who've got support through access to work have had um, different things that they've been able to get. So some it's actual physical like equipment, ergonomic equipment, and all of those sorts of things as well. Some have actually managed to get some training. So there's what sorts of different things that you can get. So next, what we're going to look at is a general guide to applying for access to work, as well as the common pitfalls and hopefully how to avoid some of them. So firstly, like I say, it is down to you. It's down to you being able to get the information. Now there are, well, other than obviously people you may know directly, there are other ways for you to get support with regards to your application. Again, at the time, I couldn't I couldn't find my way around that part of it, but actually, now I know a little bit more. I can kind of guide you towards like different organizations and people like that who are able to support you. Um, but the initial bit is for you to be as honest as you can about what impact your ADHD potentially has on the work that you can do, and for you to be able to identify the specific challenges and areas where the support is needed. Um, so again, obviously, I'm giving you some information around access to work, but it's best for you to be able to familiarize yourself with the access to work program, um, and then obviously just to confirm the eligibility criteria and other types of support it offers. And then that's when you need to contact access to work to express your interest and inquire about the application process. Now, you can also apply online and fill in a short form. By the sounds of it, I haven't looked at this bit yet, but the actual form online has changed from when I first applied. I It sounds like it's more detailed and more so you can actually like provide more information from the outset rather than having to wait for any kind of assessment. Uh, so that's good. And then it's really important to know where all your documentation is that you need. So things like medical assessments, reports that clearly outline any challenges that you may have. Uh, then once you've got all of this information, you will attend a needs assessment meeting with an access to work advisor. Now mine was just over the phone, and I think that is what they commonly do now. Unless there's a reason that they need to come out physically to speak to you, or or you request that, it basically it's on over the phone, that you will have the assessment, um and they will arrange a time that they're there to ring you and stuff like that. So again, this is where you need to try and be as kind of open as you possibly can about some of the challenges that you face, as well as having some ideas as to the sorts of accommodations that you feel you could benefit from. Again, there's no guarantee you'll get those uh, accommodations, but at least if you have a bit of an idea before you go into it, then that will help you as well. Um, so that you, yeah, so that you can propose the specific accommodations. Um, and again, this could include things like flexible work hours, assistive technology, or workspace modifications. it's really important when you're going into this, because especially from a business owner perspective, there is criteria around how much you're earning over a year, or how much you expect to be earning over the year, so that some decisions can be made about the actual official financial support available, as well as any cost sharing arrangements. Because sometimes you will need to pay a percentage of the support dependent on lots of different criteria, which I I've never known anyone who has had to. So I'm not sure what you would need for it to be something where you'd actually have to put some money in yourself. And then once things have been agreed and you are looking to actually implement some of the support that you've been given, it's really good time to actually have a plan of how you're going to implement things, and how you're going to kind of, if you, especially if you've got other like staff members and stuff like that, how you're going to actually kind of go forwards with this. So again, in terms of access to work, um, you need to have uh, like some good self advocacy. So this is where having all of the information that you need really helps you to be able to do this for yourself. And you need to make sure that you're being as honest as you can be, so that you can kind of move forward. Providing your documentation, really important to know where that information is, and the relevant bits that you will need. Um, but it's also making sure that when you're working with the advisors to for your access to work, it's you have to be open to communication, um, and be able to clearly express everything to do with your own business, challenges, and any proposed accommodations. Um, Again, researching uh, your financial understanding, they're all the same. Um, Again, is making sure that anyone involved in your business knows what's going on. Uh, Implementing, as I've said already, as well, and then feedback loop. So make sure you stay engaged with access to work. So if there's something that you need to adjust, or any other changes that are needed, then you can speak to them directly. Um, Again, it's being in groups like this, so making sure that you are talking and advocating for yourself, and that um, you're keeping up to date with information as well. So that's all I've got specifically. I can't actually see any questions, but I don't know if Louisa, whether you're there, and whether you've got any questions for me.
Hi, so yeah, I'm on a Facebook group. We haven't got any questions come through at the moment, but if anyone does have any, please pop them on the thread. But we've had plenty of points. That's a wonderful presentation, and actually there's loads of information in that for people to take away, and it's really, really helpful. So thank you. I think if we keep an eye on the thread, then obviously people could you know you can answer any in there if you're happy to. But yeah, please do tell me more about your QR code that you've got showing here.
are they? Where did that was that me?
You go.
Wait then. Oh, okay, we'll go back to it.
Can you press the back?
There we go. So, sorry, there we go. So the QR code is for my group, the Disability Business Network Facebook group, and it's for business owners, entrepreneurs, and anyone who wants to be advocate for making changes in their business, and may need their own support and stuff like that. So that's what the Facebook group is. There are a mixture of people with disabilities and able-bodied people as well, in the group. And so the idea being is that it becomes an education sort of space, and where to share ideas and support each other to make the world a little bit more of an inclusive space.
So you talk about a lot about being inclusive and the things you can do as a business owner to consider being inclusive, don't you? Because we did so myself and Sarah, we did a live on LinkedIn. It was last week, wasn't it, to do with being inclusive within the business. So definitely, if you're wanting to build up your business and even your website, considering text and things like that about being inclusive for business own, for being inclusive for everyone to be able to access your services and things, and do go and speak to Sarah, because I know you're brilliant on that. But we do actually have so do you know if autism, Asperger's have the same support with access to work?
Yes.
Okay.
Anything, if you've got a neurodiversity of any description, you can get support. There are actual organizations. So, for example, my virtual assistant, I actually got my virtual assistant through another organization that specifically supports people with neurodiversity challenges, and she has um, ADHD and autism herself, business owner, and she's actually in the process of setting up a separate charity element to it, that will help support people with um, kind of setting up businesses, and whether they need extra training or need help supporting um, kind of them to get funding and all of those sorts of things. So again, I can put those details in the comments. There are obviously other ones available, but in terms of first-hand experience, they're the ones that um, I would feel more confident to be able to advise you to go and speak to. They can help you with the actual process. There are, like I say, other organisations where if you just googled um, access to work, uh, kind of support to kind of like for the application, there are a number of different ones as well.
Okay, that's great. Thank you. We've got another one. Well, it's more of a comment. I've got and still not booked the coaching through the recommended company, but they are saying you have to pay it all up front, and that's a long time to wait for access to work to pay the pro forma. I would go and question that. The only reason I'm saying that is I'm actually working with a few people on my money coaching services through access to work. So my coach is being paid for that, and I'm actually being paid directly from access to work, not from the client I'm working with. Yep. So the person I'm working with isn't actually having to handle anything. I'm having to fill in a timesheet, and then I send my invoice to access to work. So I definitely go and question that one, so you're not paying it up front.
Yeah. No, that's definitely
so what reason for access to work?
So the organization I get my VA through, they do all of that for me. All I need to do is say, yeah, I'm happy with the information that they're inputting, because it's now that's also all now done online as well for our um funding in terms of for me anyway. I know it. I think it's something that they want to happen longer term, for everyone. So I know, um, but yeah, for Wired Differently, who it is that I'm working with, they they do it all for me, and I've never had to pay
Yeah,
anything
no, definitely
because
there because that's how I do it. Yeah. And it
yeah,
makes sense that it's that way anyway, doesn't it? So I definitely see if there's any alternatives of anything you can find on that one. Because I mean, with what I do, it's helping with like debt support and managing money and that. And if I can be paid through that, then I'd have thought someone doing business coaching as well, yeah, as well. So definitely go
yes,
and look. What's this? Someone recently applied for access to work, and he got a response saying he needs to apply directly for mental health support, as he did not select any other kind of support. Does that make sense to you?
hang on. I think I'm gonna try and find these comments because
Yeah, I think it might be worth for you some of these to actually go if you can go into the group and actually on the chat
go
to
and
actually
actually,
directly
yeah,
reply to them on there. Yeah, yeah, that'd be
yeah,
great. Well, we wrap this up then. Thank you ever so much. And again, if anyone else listening does have any more questions, do pop them on the comments. It will be easier for Sarah to answer them on there. And I don't know about you, but I find when I can read comments, it's a bit easier to actually, even with the answers, take it in properly. Yeah,
exactly.
yeah, but no, thank
Yes,
you so much. I really, really appreciate you being here and sharing all of this information with us. And for anyone who is watching on replay, please do comment replay on the comments. And the reason I say that is in a group and it'll bump the post up. So anyone who hasn't seen it will see it. But yeah, thank you. Have a wonderful afternoon. And yeah, I'll speak to you soon. Just trying to find, I think, has it stopped live streaming?
stop
There we go.
live streaming.
I
Just
think
need
it
you
stopped
to
live streaming and we need to stop recording. There we go. There we go.